In this vision, the planet itself could be a storage site, preserving knowledge, artifacts, or even dormant machinery. After all, Mercury's extreme heat and radiation make it nearly impossible for humans to explore directly, a perfect place to conceal something meant to remain hidden. Others speculated about a solar energy harvesting system. Positioned closest to the Sun, Mercury would be the ultimate power station. Structures embedded within the planet's surface might have been designed to absorb and convert solar radiation on a scale far beyond anything humanity can engineer. If such a system exists, it could explain the strange energy emissions Webb recorded. Bursts of heat and light that didn't match any known geological process. But perhaps the most unsettling theory is that Mercury might function as a surveillance hub. Some anomalies appeared to emit rhythmic pulses, almost like signals. What if those emissions weren't random? What if they were part of an ancient monitoring system designed to observe our solar system, or even Earth itself? If that's true, then Webb may not just have discovered technology. It may have triggered it back to life. Critics argue that these ideas sound more like science fiction than science. But the truth is, history has shown us that advanced technology often seems impossible until it's discovered. A century ago, nuclear energy and spaceflight were unimaginable. Could Mercury hold the next revelation? Proof that intelligence existed in our solar system long before humanity? Supporters of the ancient infrastructure theory point to Mercury's unique conditions. Its hostile surface temperatures, lack of atmosphere, and close orbit around the Sun make it the last place anyone would look for life. And yet, those very conditions also make it an ideal hiding place, a planet that appears barren and useless, concealing a secret designed to outlast time itself. If this theory is correct, then Webb's discovery wasn't just a fluke, it was a reawakening. The telescope may have peeled back the veil on technology intentionally buried, waiting for the day it would be found. And perhaps that day came too soon. Because if what lies within Mercury isn't dead, but dormant, then Webb's gaze may have done more than just observe. It may have awakened something that was never meant to be disturbed. If the theories of hidden technology on Mercury seemed far-fetched, what came next only deepened the mystery. According to leaked reports, the James Webb Telescope's scans may not have just observed anomalies, they may have provoked a reaction. When Webb directed its powerful infrared instruments toward Mercury, scientists expected simple readings of surface heat and mineral composition. Instead, they recorded something entirely unexpected: pulse-like emission. At first, these emissions appeared as faint rhythmic spikes in the data, short bursts of energy that didn't align with Mercury's natural patterns. But what alarmed researchers most was their timing. The pulses seemed to begin immediately after Webb's deep scans, as if the planet had responded to being probed. Some described them as echo signals, repeating bursts that grew stronger and more organized over time. They weren't chaotic, like solar flares or geological activity. They were structured, like a response or even a signal. This raised a terrifying possibility. Webb may have accidentally awakened a dormant system buried beneath Mercury's surface. If the anomalies truly were technological, then the telescope's scans could have triggered them, like a motion sensor activating after centuries of silence. Whistleblowers claimed that defense agencies monitoring the data were thrown into panic. The emissions were said to repeat in intervals, resembling patterns, almost like a code. If true, this would mean that Mercury wasn't just housing a relic, it was still functioning. Imagine the implications. What if Mercury is not a dead planet at all, but a machine? A vast, ancient structure designed to sleep until reactivated. A surveillance network, an energy hub, or something far beyond our comprehension. Suddenly stirred by the gaze of a human telescope, critics dismissed these reports as misinterpretations of natural phenomena. But the timing, the fact that these emissions only appeared after Webb's scans, is difficult to ignore. And so, a chilling question emerged. Did the James Webb Telescope inadvertently flip a switch on Mercury? Did it awaken something that has been dormant for eons? For some, the answer explains everything. The sudden classification, the rush to shut Webb down, the silence from NASA. If a dormant system has truly reactivated, then humanity may have alerted something we were never meant to disturb. And if that's the case, the question is no longer what lies beneath Mercury, but rather, what happens now that it's awake? The James Webb Space Telescope was never just an American project. From the very beginning, it was a collaboration between NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. A shared triumph of international science, decades of planning, billions of dollars in funding, and thousands of scientists across the globe had poured their effort into making Webb a reality. Which is why what happened next sent shockwaves far beyond the United States. When Webb's data pipeline suddenly went dark, European researchers were blindsided. Entire teams at ESA were in the middle of reviewing Mercury observations when their access was abruptly revoked. Logins failed, files disappeared, and within hours, critical databases were sealed off under U.S. authority. The official explanation was vague, system recalibration, but to those in the room, it felt more like a lockout. The frustration was immediate and intense. For European and Canadian scientists, Webb was supposed to represent a new age of openness in space exploration. Now, that spirit of cooperation had been shattered. Some described the shutdown as a scientific betrayal. Others went further, accusing the U.S. of hijacking a shared project for its own geopolitical interests. Rumors spread quickly through the academic community. Why would NASA, an agency celebrated for transparency, suddenly pull the plug? Why was the Mercury data treated differently from any other planetary observation? For many, the only explanation was that something extraordinary had been found and deliberately hidden. Behind the scenes, tensions between agencies grew. Meetings that once celebrated joint discovery devolved into arguments and mistrust. ESA officials demanded answers, but were met with silence. Canada, a smaller partner, was left completely in the dark, despite having contributed critical instruments to Webb's design. The fallout wasn't just political, it was personal. Careers were disrupted. Papers that had been in progress for months were suddenly obsolete. Some young researchers who had staked their future on Webb's open data model watched their opportunities vanish overnight. And the damage wasn't contained to Webb alone. Other collaborative projects, from Mars missions to deep space observatories, began to suffer as suspicion grew. The scientific community thrives on trust, and in a matter of weeks, that trust was fractured. To the outside world, the shutdown looked like an unfortunate technical hiccup, but inside the scientific community, it was seen as something far darker, a cover-up, a deliberate act to withhold knowledge from humanity. For decades, space exploration has united nations under a shared banner of discovery. But with Webb's sudden blackout, that unity cracked, and in its place grew suspicion, paranoia, and the growing belief that the truth about Mercury was being kept from us all. When the James Webb Telescope was suddenly shut down and its Mercury data classified, many in the global scientific community were left frustrated and powerless. But a handful of determined researchers refused to let the story end there. Amateur astronomers, radio enthusiasts, and independent data analysts began piecing together what Webb had observed. Using publicly available planetary data, small observatories, and even radio telescopes, they tried to reconstruct the Mercury observations that had vanished from official archives. What they found was both astonishing and eerie. Low-frequency radio pulses began appearing intermittently, originating from the exact regions on Mercury that Webb had last scanned. These pulses weren't random. They repeated in complex patterns that suggested a source with intentional design. Next, independent temperature measurements revealed subtle, unnatural heat shifts on the planet's surface. Certain areas warmed and cooled in ways that did not match solar radiation cycles, volcanic activity, or normal planetary thermodynamics. Magnetic field measurements added yet another layer of mystery. Scientists noted repeating anomalies, as if Mercury's crust contained structures interacting with its weak magnetic field. These anomalies aligned precisely with the locations of Webb's most curious findings: triangular formations, linear patterns, and reflective surfaces. The more these independent investigators analyzed, the clearer it became that Webb's instruments had not been mistaken. Something unusual was present on Mercury, something that responded to observation in ways that mimicked the characteristics of engineered systems. Yet, even as these findings circulated through blogs, amateur journals, and private forums, mainstream science remained silent. Researchers who tried to publish or share their results were often ignored or pressured. The weight of secrecy imposed by national security agencies made independent verification nearly impossible. Still, the anomalies persisted. They were persistent signals in a silent system, echoes of something the world was not meant to see. Each pulse, temperature shift, and magnetic irregularity pointed toward the same unsettling truth. Whatever Webb had discovered was real, and it was still active. For these independent investigators, the work became almost a mission. Without access to Webb, they relied on ingenuity, collaboration, and small-scale observations. Every new pulse or thermal spike was celebrated as a breadcrumb left behind by Mercury's hidden system. A faint whisper from an ancient technology awakened, and with every discovery, the question loomed larger. If amateurs could detect these signals, what might Webb have actually triggered, and what might still be waiting just beneath the surface, watching and responding to our every move? The possibility that Mercury harbors artificial structures is more than just a scientific curiosity, it is a paradigm-shattering revelation. If these anomalies are truly engineered, then every assumption humanity has held about our solar system, our origins, and our place in the universe may need to be reconsidered. For centuries, we've assumed that planets like Mercury were barren, lifeless, and shaped entirely by natural forces, volcanic activity, solar radiation, and gravitational interactions. But if there are engineered structures beneath its surface, then Mercury is not just a planet. It is a repository of technology, a relic of intelligence that predates human civilization, or possibly even life on Earth itself. The implications ripple across every field of human knowledge. Cosmology may need to account for intelligent activity influencing planetary evolution. History could require revision to consider the possibility of ancient civilizations in our solar system, whose traces have been nearly erased by time and cosmic conditions. Even our understanding of life itself would be challenged. If intelligence arose elsewhere in the inner solar system, what does that say about the uniqueness of life on Earth? And then there's the geopolitical dimension. The sudden classification of Webb's Mercury data, the silencing of researchers, and the rapid intervention of defense agencies all suggest that the discovery was considered too consequential to disclose. If humanity learned of functional engineered systems on Mercury, it could trigger a global paradigm shock, a shift in culture, science, and international relations. Perhaps that is why secrecy was prioritized over open disclosure. Even more chilling is the possibility that these structures are still active. If Webb inadvertently triggered responses from Mercury's subsurface systems, then the planet may no longer be inert. Humanity may have awakened a technology or intelligence that was meant to remain dormant, raising ethical and existential questions that extend far beyond science. Ultimately, the discovery forces us to confront profound truths: that the universe may hold intelligence far older and more advanced than our own, that planets once considered unremarkable could conceal unimaginable secrets, and that the boundary between natural phenomena and artificial creation may be far more blurred than we ever imagined. Mercury may not just be a celestial body orbiting the Sun. It could be a key to understanding a hidden history of intelligence in our own cosmic backyard, a revelation powerful enough to change everything we think we know about life, the universe, and our place within it. As we piece together the story of Mercury, Webb, and the strange signals that may rewrite history, one thing becomes clear: the universe is far stranger than we ever imagined. Whether Mercury holds ancient technology, dormant systems, or evidence of prior intelligent civilizations, the truth is tantalizingly close, yet just out of reach. And while the official channels remain silent, independent investigators and amateur astronomers continue to chase these cosmic breadcrumbs. The question is no longer just what is on Mercury, but what will humanity do now that we know there may be something awake beneath the surface? If you found this journey through hidden science, cosmic secrets, and potential alien infrastructure as mind-blowing as we did, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't miss future explorations into the universe's deepest mysteries, because some secrets are just waiting to be uncovered. We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Mercury could really host ancient or alien technology? Or is there a more natural explanation for these anomalies? Share your theories below. The most intriguing ideas might get featured in our next video.